So why did the BBC set up a load of dancing robots outside the studio?
Because it's the BBC and they do what they want to do.
Okay.
If I was the BBC, I would do that. Because why not?
When you're basically government owned, and you can do whatever you want, and you get TV licenses as standard, then BBC do what BBC want to do.
I wonder if you work for the BBC if you get free TV license.
I wouldn't be so hasty. They're just about trying to get equal pay. Enough political ramblings and weird stuff like that. This is the Immaterial Gamers podcast. This is episode number 18.
Dumbledore!
18? What, Dumbledore?
I've been watching that video. It goes, Snape, serious Snape, Dumbledore, Snape.
Wow.
Is that the video game that you're going to discuss later on in this podcast?
Yeah. That'll be the great hidden feature. That'll be here for listeners to the podcast. But until that point, I'm Ryan, otherwise known as Notimagain, and we've got the good old partners in crime. I've got Duncan, Geoff Vader.
I think just Duncan is fine. I'm not really that committed to my screen name.
He's Geoff.
It's just something to add as an option, but still. And I've got Stefan Massamuni 113.
Woohoo!
And since we forgot to date stamp it, and we've gone through an agreement on this one that we're going to do it for at least one more time. It's the 2nd of December. We are now in December. That time where people use the C word. That's right, carrot.
That's Easter, actually.
Damn
The rabbits and stuff.
C, the C word. Cinnamon, that's the one, isn't it? Happy cinnamon, everyone.
Cinnamon's, and that one is Valentine's Day.
Oh, bollocks.
Isn't it milk and cookies?
Christmas Day, isn't it? Yeah, Christmas is the month of...
I thought it was milk and cookies.
It's the month of... Well, the month of milk and cookies and, McDonald's adverts involving Santa Claus and his exasperated reindeer. But, it's also the week where Netflix decided that they like anime and you should too.
Isn't this the same week when Netflix has turned around and cancelled...
Okay, yeah, depressingly it's also the same week where they cancelled Daredevil.
What now?
Daredevil has been cancelled.
Yep.
Oh, I haven't even seen season 3 yet.
Yeah.
It's still been on there for a bit.
Oh yeah, season 3 is the last one that's on there.
For now.
Yeah, for now. I mean, but this is we've got to take into account that this was Daredevil was the show that the Marvel and Disney war wasn't affecting. So if Daredevil's cancelled, everything's off the table.
I do think Disney will just take it.
They're going to, aren't they? That was the whole point. I mean, we saw stuff like Luke Cage and Iron Fist. I mean, Iron Fist itself wasn't really any good anyway, so no big loss. But still, yeah.
They've only got Jessica now, haven't they?
Jessica Jones and Punisher, technically. And yeah, I think once Jessica Jones has finished shooting, that'll be a one more and done as well. At this rate, because if you're going to take your show that started the Netflix universe and get rid of it, then yeah, what chance do the others have?
Yeah.
True.
But yeah, so one hand Netflix giveth, Netflix taketh away. It is Jesus of Netflixius. It's topical.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Christmas after all.
But I suppose this isn't really the movie and streaming service podcast now, is it?
No, not just yet. But it'll be the Immaterial Pop Culture
Yeah, that one. Spelt exactly what you just pronounced.
Yeah.
Immaterial Pop Coming soon to a streaming service near you.
Yeah, probably Netflix.
And then we'll get cancelled after season 3.
Oh, perfect. Well, at least we'll have had 3 seasons of things for,
What are we cancelling?
Unfortunately, General's War Table's going to have to be cancelled now. No, not doing that. But I guess we could just have the very, very quick ones on that. Yeah, role-playing Notimagain. I know the title of my own series. Role-playing Notimagain is still continuing. The General's War Table is going to have a little bit of a brief break and then come back.
Yay, breaks.
Europa Universalis 4 patches, breaking games and all that, but it's how they roll. And us, the podcast, we're still going strong. So, based on that, and those little bits of distraction and topical get-togethers and stuff like that, let's look at games we may or may not have been playing this week. So, if I can start with Duncan.
Yay!
Alright, so, out of the digital world and into IRL, my main gaming experience for this week, of note, what came in the form of the board game / card game, RWBY Combat Ready.
Oh, I saw stuff on my Facebook feeds about, this little board game. How is it?
It's a lot of fun. I quite enjoy it. It's been mentioned several times in this podcast before, but many of us Immy gamers are big fans of the Rooster Teeth folks. I know at least a few of us keep up with or watch it in some capacity the show RWBY. We've also played their video game. What was it called? Grim Eclipse, which was it was okay. It was a fun little experiment. It was a way to get things rolling in that department at least.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of interested in how that actually came to life, because it was, from what I saw, it was a fan game that was then picked up by Rooster Teeth, yeah?
Yeah, essentially it's like one really dedicated fan with too much free time wanted to make a RWBY video game. He got noticed by Rooster Teeth, and they basically invented their games department out of his work, from what I understand. They really didn't have a team for that before, but now they do, and now they make other games. But
yeah, and now they're a big publisher as well, because they've got the publishing rights to Bendy and the Ink Machine now.
Oh, really? I didn't even know about that.
Yeah, a couple of weeks back, I remember I was watching Desert Bus Loading Ready Run thing, which some or me is a fan of, and they were talking about how the whole reason there's a whole load of new merch and marketing campaigns going out for Bendy is because Rooster Teeth announced it that week, kind of around the Extra Life stream.
I was wondering what that was all about, because my bloody my lanyard from RTX had Bendy advertisements, and I was like, what's the connection here? I don't know what's going on. But I didn't really think of anything of it.
Yeah, in London there was a Bendy booth as well. So it was yeah.
I did not pay attention to that.
No, it was not far away from the Rage 2 game box that they had in the middle of the floor. Yeah, it was over there where people could buy the RT box as well.
Oh, I probably didn't pay attention because it was near that. I didn't tend to pay attention to that bit.
Yeah, but anyway,
going back to the topic
RWBY
at hand,
digressions aside.
Yeah, but this game was not a video game. It is a board game / card game. It is essentially a deck building card game in the vein of Dominion. However, it's also like a cooperative game where you fight the board as a team, as opposed to playing against each other. Kind of like Pandemic in a way. It heavily reminds me of a combination between Pandemic and Dominion with a RWBY flair.
That does actually seem pretty cool.
So essentially, the basic premise of the game is you where do I start? So you have a deck of cards, of basic cards, that for each character, of which there are 5. It's the 4 main RWBY girls and Penny, Paulandina, the android girl.
Ah, yes.
And each deck has sort of basic effects that you can use in combat against the boss, who is in the middle of the board. And essentially, Each card has a speed value from like 1 to 10. There's a few over 10, but like some number from that has a rating of speed.
Yeah.
And the enemy also has a deck, and who plays cards that also have speed ratings. Whoever plays the card with the highest speed rating, their attack or ability goes through, and they inflict a corresponding amount of damage and or effect based on what their card describes.
Okay.
There are various modifiers through card abilities and other special abilities that can affect how much damage you do and how much what your speed modifier is. Like, you can get buffs and debuffs to people's speed. If the player inflicts damage to the enemy, they move along a track on the board, depending on that corresponds to how much damage you do. And each step that you take along this board, there are different. You gain different benefits. You get experience points. You get speed buffs. You do extra damage, etc., etc. There's about 10 spots on the track before you reach the end. And when the villain hits you, they move along their... So the villain hits you, they don't move along their track. They move along their track automatically based on turns. They move one space per turn, regardless of how much damage they did to you. Each player has a certain amount of health that they have. Different characters have a different amount of health, which is interesting.
Right, so it's sort of balanced out between each other that way then.
Yeah. Some characters are more tanky, and some characters have more speed. Some characters are more balanced. Some characters are more support oriented. But each player takes a turn being the player character in the middle of the board. Like, there's only one active player at a time. They move along a single track. And the other characters are sideline characters who essentially, they can't be attacked directly by the villain. And they can either help the active player by lending support abilities or contributing to a combo, or they can focus on completing objectives, which are essentially various modifiers that increase difficulty but can also yield rewards if they are completed. Right. An example of an objective card for, say, Roman Torchwick is he might have some henchmen who, spawn at the beginning of each round, and the sideline players have the option to either engage them in combat or fight Roman directly. Right. If you defeat Roman, the battle ends. But if you don't defeat the minions and Roman's still alive, each player goes through what's called a duel, and that's essentially one cycle on the track. And at the end of the duel, certain characters, like, say, the minions, will attack the active player for unblockable damage.
Right, okay.
So you're incentivized as a team to sort of work together and minimize the amount of damage going on the active player while still trying to whittle down the main boss.
I'm just picturing this by seeing the static screenshot that I've got of sort of like the villain's board and the character decks and cards and stuff like that. So
yeah,
just picturing it in my mind. Yeah.
So I think the villain track has like 5 or 6 total spaces, and if he reaches the end of his track, the duel ends. If he's in like the last like 2/3 of his board and he successfully inflicts damage on you, he'll inflict what's called bash damage, which also ends the duel.
Right.
But another way you can end the match is if you reach a certain point on the player track. If you've inflicted enough damage, you can activate your ultimate attack. You can activate it anywhere along the ultimate section of the track, which is labeled on the board. You're not required to. You can activate it whenever you want. And essentially, it's just a really powerful, unblockable attack that deals a certain amount of damage, yields a certain amount of experience, and instantly ends the round, and that player is now sidelined, and the next player rotates on as the active player.
Right, okay.
So what you want to do as the player, optimally, is to reach the end of the track as soon as possible, because the last spot on the track is like +3 damage to any attacks that you do. So you want to reach that point as soon as possible, inflict as much damage as you can until the enemy reaches the end of his track, and just before he cycles off, you want to use your ultimate to finish the duel, get some extra damage in, all that good stuff, get some extra experience.
Okay.
So, when a duel ends, and in between cycles, you gain experience from participation, essentially. Whenever you successfully hit the enemy, or hit a minion, or if you complete an objective, you get experience points for it. And in between duels, you can spend those experience points to buy cards from your upgrade deck.
So that's where the deck building is.
Yeah, this is where the deck building comes in. So essentially, what you do is you can only replace cards that are in your hand. You can have up to 6 cards in your hands, and in between duels you draw cards. If you happen to run out of cards before a duel is over, the duel ends. But that usually doesn't happen, just because of the way the game is paced. So you can, at the end of the duel, you draw 6 cards, and then you can replace any cards in your hand with cards from your extra deck. You can't replace cards that have been discarded or that are still in your deck. Right, and you spend a certain amount of experience points that corresponds to their cost, and you instantly replace the card that's in your hand, so your deck size never changes.
Right, okay.
Upgraded cards come in different tiers, like they have Tier 2, Tier 3, and Tier 4 cards, and you have to have a card from the previous tier to replace if you want a higher tier card.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you can't upgrade in that regard, innit?
Yeah, so you can't put in a Tier 4 card unless you have a Tier 3 card in your hand. Alternatively, you could just spend the amount of experience that corresponds to adding up all the previous tiers combined. It's effectively the same thing, but you get the idea.
That works out.
And that pretty much explains everything, all the basic information about the game. You just keep rotating clockwise until either you defeat the boss or the boss defeats you.
Fair enough.
You can play single scenarios where you just fight one bad guy. If you're just starting out, this is probably recommended starting off. Or you can create campaigns where you fight a succession of bosses in a row, up to 3. There's 3 different bosses. There's Roman Torchwick, Adam Taurus, and Cinderfall.
Yep.
And you can fight as many of them as you want in succession. That was gross. And maintain the same persistent aura, experience, and deck throughout your campaign. Campaigns can take a long time. Even just single scenarios can take over an hour if you're still new to the game, or if you have really difficult objectives to work with. So a full campaign can take a few hours.
Huh. Yeah, because I'm saying this, it can go very D&D-like in terms of persistence then, when that's... when it's sort of gone through, like I say, cause, if you're just going to do this one fight, sure. But you're getting people down for a session, then...
Yeah, it's a commitment when you're playing.
Yeah.
But it's really fun. I like that there's some variability and open-endedness to it. There are guidelines to tell you, how many objectives you're supposed to have, depending on how many players you have, how many, what kind of modifiers you should use, depending on your skill level, who you should fight and how you should fight them. But really, at the end of the day, the rules are pretty transparent about the fact that as long as you don't, contradict fundamental rules of the game, you can effectively customize your scenarios and your campaigns however you want. You can make a game as hard as you want by having as many modifiers as you want, and as many objectives as you want. You could set house rules, you can have 1 fight, 2 fight, 3 fights. You can do anything you want as long as you follow the rules of the game. And I like that open-endedness. It gives you a ton of replayability because the game can always be a little bit more challenging. It'll always be a little bit different. And the open-endedness the open-endedness of the game leaves a ton of room for expansion. It can easily be built upon, giving you new villains, new objectives, new players, new cards, so on and so on. There's a lot of potential for this game. Yeah,
certainly. Definitely. I mean, I'm just looking at the old Kickstarter campaign for it, so I'm assuming the box you got part of the backer rewards for that then, or?
Oh yeah, when I got the Kickstarter reward, that's actually part I should mention. This was a Kickstarter project that was started almost 2 years ago. I think it was a long time ago.
Yeah, from what it looks like, I'm just looking at the campaign page. It was some point. Let's see, September last year.
September last year, so like a year and a half that this was worked on, and it was a really skeletal game that they proposed initially, and they just kept releasing new stretch goals for new add-ons and new modifications that they could make to the game. And the the Rooster Teeth community being the Rooster Teeth community, they just blew past all of those, and they ended up with a pretty in-depth game. Some of the add-ons were built in to the game, and others were optional additional purchases you could make. I, of course, bought all the add-ons. I bought all the extra bells and whistles, so I've got the expanded super version of the game, which I'm pretty happy about.
Perfect. And then, just looking at for anyone at that point who was interested in the game, if their update that they did last month is correct, it should already be out for purchase now.
Yeah, I believe it's on sale in the store now. So
because I think from the update they said they tracked November the 16th it being available in the Rooster Teeth store. November 23rd was when it was in select online retailers, and then basically general release at the end of November.
Yeah, so
if the update,
if I would say, if I have any criticism, if I have any negatives to say about the game, and there are very few, it's actually a really fun game. I think it's tremendously more entertaining than their actual video game, Grip Eclipse. If I have any negatives to say, I would say that the individual decks themselves, the player decks, are maybe a little bit bland. They're like I understand that they're supposed to be basic decks, but even the upgraded cards are a little bit plain. They're not terribly interesting. They're mostly just recombinations of the same effects that you get in the basic deck, just a little bit more powerful.
Yeah.
This card might have the same cool effect as another basic card you have, just with a higher speed, or things like that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess at that point that does still show that the ability, the move itself is upgraded in the sense. I know I can see where you're coming from. It's very, very basic, but it's still still something that can be definable as being an upgrade.
Yeah, and I would say that that's fine as an initial release. You don't want to release a set of cards that's super complicated and hard to understand to people who have, when you're inventing a brand new game, because really this is a very different kind of game. It resembles games that already exist, but it is a very different kind of game. If you're introducing someone to something that new, you do want to make sure that it's the fundamentals are comprehensible. So you
need to sort of get the ground rules down, really, don't you?
Yeah. So my big push, my big hope for the future is that future expansions might have more elaborate and combo-based cards. It would be very interesting to see a little bit more synergy between characters and also between cards within the same decks.
Yeah.
Because right now it is fairly plain, and I think that it could be a little bit more intricate, but I also understand the necessity to keep things simple for starters. Yeah. But yeah, overall, really, really fun.
Yeah, no, it's cool. I mean, I like my deck builders. In fact, one of my favourite deck builder games is Star Realms.
Okay.
Yeah, it's basically the deck builder behind it is that you're creating a fleet or an armada of spaceships to take out the influence of an opposing army, which is the other players in the game, and that uses very simplistic it's a sign of a game that gets its ground rules and its base mechanics down from the off. There's like 4 factions in it, and each faction works, on itself easily enough. But in standard deck build rules, you can just pick up any cards you want, and it's all about synergy and just making sure you've got the right stuff. And then they brought in these expansions with like events and upgraded cards, captains and stuff like that to give people that extra bit of difficulty if they want it. But then they don't have to use any of the other decks other than the standard game if they don't. So yeah, just as long as they're working along that line, it's certainly something that I will probably be considering in the future.
Yeah, it would be kind of neat if they had developed. I know this would be super demanding on them, and I understand why they didn't. But it'd be kind of cool if they had planned for like a digital version to coincide with the release, so that you could play online with friends. I would, because this would be a really cool game to play with you guys. I would like to get into this with someone. But,
yeah, I mean, if they can get in touch with Asmodee, what are they called? Asmodee, the guys that do the digital versions of board games. It's a future option they could go for. I mean, they know they've got the fan base for it. The people will be ravenous for something like that. So, yeah, some good old co-op-y board games played digitally might be a good idea.
Plus, as fun as the physical copy is, I will say that one thing about it is that there's a lot of moving parts. Like, the fundamentals are simple enough to grasp, but there's a lot of moving parts, a lot of things to keep track of, because objectives, something could happen, every turn one objective might trigger. It's like maybe you did damage, therefore this objective activates, which means you get this thing, this counter that you can use later to do this thing later, or maybe because you failed, this objective activates and this bad thing happens to you and the villain gets this buff or whatever. And even just the basics, like you gotta make sure that your villain moves along every turn, and the villain gets special, he gets modifiers for his damage and his speed. You gotta make sure you keep track of that and factor that into your math. There's a lot of moving parts, and having a digital interface to keep track of that might make it a little bit more approachable for people who've never played the game.
Yeah, but I can see, definitely. So it comes from. I mean, like you say, what is it? 2 to 4 player game and a villain, each with their own little tracks. I mean, I'm seeing that each character's got 3 tracks there.
Technically,
XP, ultimate, life.
Yeah. The each player's got their health. They have their experience. The ultimate is just a card that is just active at all times. It's ready at any time. It's essentially a floating extra card in your hand that has no cost, that you can only play once you're in your ultimate track. But tracking your health, your experience, and if you're the active player, also tracking your movement along the board, it's a lot just for one player to even keep track of, let alone all the other things that go into it. There's a lot of moving parts, and it can be very easy to forget 1 or 2 things in our turn.
Yeah, but it still looks like something that can be done. Maybe a bit of development time outside of it, but I'd be looking forward to actually seeing the board game version. That meant, definitely the digital sometime down the line as well. So cool.
Yeah,
cheers,
looking forward to playing more of that this evening, actually, with my family. So.
Good, cool. No worries. Right, Steph. I know you've been waiting patiently.
Oh no, I've kept having to disappear because I kept getting shouted. So I've just ended up muting my mic, disappearing, and coming back.
Just make sure your recording's still fine.
Oh yeah, my recording's still fine.
Okay, good to know.
It may be half an hour of silence, but it's still important to be there.
Yep, yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what you've been playing, dude.
I've been playing Stonehearth.
Stonehearth. That troubled little game.
What do you mean troubled?
Well, the development cycle, the Kickstarter plans,
True.
the fact that, all that stuff. I'm sure we discussed that like a few episodes back. But,
what troubles are you talking about? This one and this one and this one and this one. Oh yeah, those troubles. Now you right.
Well, the multiplayer came out I think about a month, maybe a bit longer ago. So me and Terry started playing it again.
Yeah.
And I've started playing a single player game, and I have now made friends with rabbit people.
Ah.
Same.
The best thing is the rabbit. They wear a hood half the time, and it's like, yeah, I can't tell you a rabbit.
Oh, great! So cultist rabbits, cool.
So these rabbits, do they go around with shopping carts going? Bah!
No, when I first met them, they were asking for carrots.
Ah, okay. Do they have a leader, and is his name called Peter?
I have no idea, but they have gave me their ability to make clay models and make golems that work for me now.
Ah, right. Okay.
But yeah, it's like a little village basey game. I'm playing it on peaceful at the minute because I just wanted to learn how the game works. I wanted to do the main quest line, so I wanted to know the whole story of it. And so far, I have. I think I might have just completed it, to be honest. I think the last thing you do is get that, but I've not had another quest yet. But by the time I started finding the rabbits that started giving me quests, I thought I finished it as well. So. Sometimes the quests come like very far apart from each other, even though you can complete one quest and you won't get another one for like say 6 days of games. Well, 6 day in game time.
Bloody hell. So you just expected to just what? Do stuff?
Build your town, get more people.
Yeah.
Make more decorations, because I also found out you can because you have to have beds for your people to sleep in, because none of them like to share beds, because it puts their what is it? What's the word for it? Puts their emotional and their mental state into a really bad thing if they have to share a bed. Not at the same time, by the way.
Squatters' rights. Come on.
Where everyone has access to anyone's house. So. It doesn't matter even if I've gone, that's that guy's house. You still see the cook sat there in the masoner's house eating a porridge or whatever I've made.
Oh, great. So it's just like The Sims.
Yeah.
They give no shits about privacy.
This porridge is too hot.
Goes to someone else's house.
The good old Goldilocks conundrum.
But, because of even when you're on peaceful, you still get attacked because of the quest, so... I have a little army going on as well at the minute, and I've started to fortify my base. But yeah, playing on... I tried playing the game a few days ago, and my army just... After I got attacked 4 times, all of a sudden, 2 giant skeletons, an ogre, and a load of other zombies just came after me, and it was like, well, 5 people aren't going to be able to kill all that, but I'll give it a shot. Next thing I knew, my whole town was dead.
Why the hell am I doing Jurassic Park music?
You mean like burr, burr, burr,
yeah, I've not seen a dinosaur yet, so that might be in it somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah, but, it's the Land Before Time. It's just.
If you had a dinosaur, maybe you would have stood a chance.
Yeah, if I had one, it's a good point. I know there's dragons in it because a pet seller that comes around is trying to sell me a dragon. It's like, well, I don't have that much money, so I'm not buying a dragon. But it does say keep it away from flammable objects. And it's like, well, my town's made of mainly wood, so let's not.
Oh, perfect.
Playing a game called Stonehearth and your village is made of wood. What are you, some kind of pleb?
Well, my people started off with wood.
It's not Woodhearth, Terry. Stefan. Damn it, I did the thing that you did.
Don't do it me, Geoff.
Oh, man. Yes, this is the Immaterial Gamers podcast where we don't know who we are.
Wait, who am I again?
You're Terry.
I believe you're Terry, and I've got
I'm usually Ryan.
Yeah, and then that makes me Matt, apparently. Yeah.
Aren't you Dana? I always thought you were Dana.
No. Well, maybe. Oh, I don't know.
You Matt? I forget.
We're everyone. We're everyone and we're no one. We're immaterial.
That's true. We are immaterial. We are immaterial, for we are many.
Ah, yes.
I thought that was Legion. Well, I only just watched that episode the other day. Leave me alone.
So you and your Stonehearth. Yeah, do they just all now? I am really good with the forming of words recently.
Our presenter, everyone.
I want to know, why is he only bad with words when he comes to speak to me?
You infect people. You have a temporary parasite that affects people only when they're talking to you.
Is it because I'm normally the one who sidetracks everything, so it's like I have to be careful what I say to him, maybe he's going to sidetrack this somewhere else?
Well, you're also a level 9 flub lord, so maybe that part's also
what?
gets to us.
How
You're a
did I
level
get-
9 flub lord.
How did I get to level 9?
Through years of experience.
And how come I'm only level 9? I've been working for years for this.
Well,
It's like D&D.
I imagine a scale is like level 1 to 10 kind of thing, so you're pretty much a
so
master.
You've nearly mastered the art of the flub lord.
I will be the flubber.
Yeah. So after your case
flubber.
of you flubber. Yes, after your unfortunate case of village death,
Yeah.
are you all sorted now?
Yeah, because now I'm playing on peaceful, so I'm not randomly getting attacked for no reason.
That's
I
good.
only get attacked now if I've gone to a rabbit and went, I'll protect you. I don't know where the fuck you are because you've just come to me and said, will you protect me? I've been hurt. And it's like, well, I can heal you and send you off. I'll protect you. And it's like, I'll protect you. Now, where is he in my town? I have no idea. It's like, I'll protect you. He just disappears. I kill the people that come hunting after him and he comes back and goes, thank you. Gives me some free stuff and pisses off again.
Oh, good.
He's always scouting now. I was scouting and some wolves got me. I think they followed me here. Well, can you stop coming here, please, then?
Oh, perfect.
They're very one-sided, mind, these rabbit people. I have been asked to... The quest I've got off them so far is carrots, because they've wanted carrots, because somehow rabbits can't grow their own carrots. To grow a special herb that only they have, which I'm kind of curious how they have it when they can't grow it. And to recharge their power crystals, because their power crystals that give them light underground can only be recharged on the surface, and it attracts mobs. So I just stick it in one of my fields in the middle of nowhere and just tell a guard to stand there. You stand there.
Contradictory mechanics, eh? We've got to grow this stuff that we never had, so we couldn't grow, and now we've got to protect it from the enemies that turn up only if we grow it.
Yeah. It's like, oh, that's thanks. Why are you giving it me then?
So you too can, deal with our problem.
I don't know. There's a quest that I get off them a few times. It's, oh, goblins have found our secret hole. They want us to give us. They want us to make them like 25 wooden doors. But we think we can fight them. We just need potions. And it's like I have the option of go away. I will make the doors for you. I will give you potions. It's like, well, I already have potions made. Just take them. I am not going to sit there and make you 25 wooden doors that I do not need to begin with.
I hate it when goblins find my secret door. My secret hole, that's the one.
Next to you.
Secret doors, secret holes. It's just a whole load of secrets.
There's probably a door in the hole.
I want to find their secret hole. I want to find this rabbit kingdom.
What is a man? Just other than a miserable pile of secrets.
And holes.
And holes. Miserable pile of holes.
I thought a man was just made of water.
What does a pile of holes look like?
I don't know, I'd actually love to see a picture. A pile of holes. I feel it's like something the Acme company would do.
Oh, yeah. Oh, like Bugs Bunny.
Yeah.
Anything with Warner Brothers, to be honest.
Yeah. Just a pile of holes.
I'm going to look that up.
Alright, fair dues. And while you look through your pile of holes, and as a segue from one rabbit to the name of the other, I'll go with the game I've been playing, because I've been playing a few. But I'll briefly go past them. More Darkest Dungeon. More Tetris. God of War 3 Remastered, which I'm not really going to explain. But the segue that I've got is that I played a game, or I played some Thumper recently. Particularly this week. Well, basically not long after recording the podcast last week. Thumper.
What is Thumper, other than
the
rabbit from
Bambi?
Yeah, I was about to say. Okay, I've typed in pile of holes, by the way. It just comes up with bricks on their sides.
What?
It comes
No,
with
they're
a brick.
bricks.
Yeah, but no, the bricks with holes in.
Yeah.
Like 6 holes in each brick. It's like just loads of
That's
them
not-
just piled up. Going, there's
that's
your
not-
holes.
Ah, come on, internet. We can do better than this. Surely. Pile of holes.
Oh, you got like
Go.
just a pile of dirt.
Yeah, we'll just meme it somewhere. But yeah, Thumper is it's weirdly classed as a rhythm game.
Oh yeah, you're very into rhythm games though.
I probably say that we were talking about Tetris one day and about the concepts of synesthesia.
I bet you're one of them kids who used to have one of them puppet things, aren't you? Pop it, twist it.
Synesthesia?
Yeah. Well, synesthesia, yeah, the concept of using like colour and sound that
associating like one sensation with another, or it's like where it's like, a word might sound like it's a certain color, or a certain shape might sound or a certain word might have like a different texture to it, things like that.
Yeah, so one of my workmates is apparently a synesthesic or something like that.
Synesthesiac.
Yeah, he related numbers to color to shapes, so was able to solve complex equations through shape. Problem being that it didn't really go well in the academically gifted part because he couldn't show working, and working was key. Apparently, if you just got to the answer, you were guessing. But yeah.
I have to admit, I remember tests when you looked at it and went, you have to do your working out, and it's like, why? The answer's this. I can look at it and tell you the answer.
Yeah.
But I have to give you.
I understand that the reason why they want you to show your work is one,
to prove you understood
it deters cheating, and it also proves that you understand why you got that answer and how you got that answer. It's like. Mm-hmm. It's like anyone could just recite information. It's people who are capable of creating new information based on existing information
and understanding it.
That's how you determine education.
Yeah.
Yes, and this is where you get the answers of Terry has 30 candy. He eats 29. How many does he have left? And the kid puts he has diabetes.
Nice. That's good.
Show your work.
What does he now have?
Diabetes.
Well, if you'll refer to page 13 of our
New Scientist
of our chemistry and biology textbooks, I'll show you exactly how diabetes works.
Yeah, because the glucose that he didn't break down by eating the sweets prevented the build-up of insulin, therefore caused him to gain type 2 diabetes. So A+, see me. But yeah, Thumper it's classed as a rhythm game in the sense that it's got beats and bops, and the music and the gameplay is set to said beeps and bops.
You are a beep and you are a bop.
Well, you're actually a space beetle.
Oh, okay, and now I know what game it is. I've seen that game. I didn't know what it was called though.
Yeah, it's called.
I still don't know what it is.
So Thumper is what's actually marketed as a rhythm violence game. The concept is this: you are a beetle traveling down a track in some weird hellish space.
Let me put it this way for you. You don't really look like a beetle. You kind of look like a fucking alien spacecraft that's silver.
Okay.
Except it is marketed as a beetle.
Yeah.
It has wings.
Yeah. You can tell it looks like a beetle, but it kind of looks more like a fucking alien spaceship.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Beetle. Alien.
Yeah.
Alien
so
beetle.
You're a beetle, and your idea is to escape while you're chasing some weird alien artifact that is being protected by, and I'm not kidding you, the alien menace Crackhead.
Crackhead.
Yep. Spelled Crakhed. Crackhead. So yeah, and
I never knew this game was on VR.
Yeah, it is on VR, and I want to play it in VR at one point. But yeah, you go down this very hellish track with obstacles coming thick and fast with their calls and responses as well. So there'll be walls, there's little beat pads, there's like little fences in the way, lots of stuff that will kill a beetle in 2 hits. So you'll add on every little level of track you've got 2 lives maximum. And yeah,
What
use the
console-
idea of
Is this on every console now?
yes.
I was just gonna say because it's now on the Switch. Because I've just looked it up and it was like 25% off on the Switch. It's like, oh god.
Yeah. You see, yeah. I mean, I guess with the Switch, as long as you're using it in TV mode, it'll be fine because I wouldn't consider it a portable game unless you're wearing headphones and stuff because the sound, because like every other rhythm game, sound and the soundtrack is key to it. It's like I mentioned, it has call and response in it. Is that before you see the obstacle, you'll hear the obstacle. So, like for example, walls will have a clap.
Is this a bit like
When
how
you come near
when you play Payday you can hear a cloaker coming
and
a taser?
Yeah, but it's a lot more fixed than hearing a cloaker coming. It's like it's not exactly going in Payday. It's not going to be the case of 2 bars after you hear I'm coming in and whoop, he's going to attack you. You just know that he's on the map. In Thumper, you'll hear a
Clap
and then 4 beats later, 4 beats later, the wall will be at your face.
Is he literally trying to clap sync?
I
say we kill him.
No, what? No. So yeah, so it's a case of survive each level, destroy Crackhead, get to the artifact, and go on to pastures new in your new Space Beetle life. But it's like got this really like pumping like industrial metal soundtrack to it. And what are you laughing about?
I'm quickly looking through Facebook and there's a thing for an £85 coupon voucher if you share this link.
Yeah. Hoaxslayer.net. Anyway, so yeah, you just got to like do the cases like either huddle up in your Beatley shell to like break through fences or grind round walls and not die. And I like it. And it's the problem is compared to a lot of other rhythm games where as you sort of zone into it, everything's all nice and calm and zen. It's the opposite in Thumper. You will feel very stressed because of the soundtrack and the way it goes, but it gives you still that same option to focus. And I guess if you kind of do that bit where you zone into rhythm games like a synesthesiac, then it's quite enjoyable. So I'd give it a pick up. It's relatively cheap on all the stuff these days, probably apart from the Switch because it's just come out. But yeah, if you like violent music playing while you're trying to guide a little cute beetle down a track, then yeah, that's all for you.
Sounds wonderful.
And I know I've not done the best way of selling it, but it's a hard game to describe. Without.
I want to change my screen name to Violent Beetle.
Violent Beetle. Yeah, that'd be weird. I mean, as long as you didn't call yourself Crackhead. Be,
that too. I could Violet Beetle Crackhead.
Violent Crackhead.
Violent Beetle Crackhead.
Oh Jesus.
Or Crackhead the Violent Beetle. Either way.
Nice. So we are wow. Okay.
Already like 50 minutes.
Yeah, 50 minutes. So let's get on with this news. We'll try and go through all 4 pieces in a quick and concise and constructive way.
Okay.
So we'll start with news piece 1. Yeah, news piece 1 from IGN. And BioWare's announcing a Dragon Age announcement this month.
Oh god, I don't have this news article. What?
Don't worry about it. There isn't really much to talk about.
There's not much.
They've announced an announcement.
Announced an announcement.
Announced an announcement of them because Dragon Age is a very important. I think what they actually put on the what was it they put on the tweet they put out? We are working on very secret Dragon Age things. We hope to tell you about it soon. I believe it's something down that line.
Yeah, we've got the announcement here. Yeah, if you've been following the blog, blah blah blah, we're working on some secret Dragon Age stuff. Cool.
Ugh, I hate that. It's like we're getting to like Inception levels of announcement tiers where it's like we're going to announce an announcement that'll announce an announcement that'll announce the thing that's actually happening.
I think they've done this because a lot of people are asking for the Dragon Age. They want to continue that story. They want to know what's happened to the hero of Ferelden. They want to know what happened to the champion of Kirkwall. Don't forget, these
Yeah,
people have just disappeared.
Yeah, but we were announcing this we were talking about this a couple of weeks ago, weren't we, when we were talking about the E3 stuff?
Yeah.
And this idea of just give us news, don't give us this hype machine bullshit of, look, we don't have anything for you now, but we might.
Come back in a month.
yeah, come back in a month. Thanks for coming back. We still haven't got anything for you, but
It's
here's this picture.
It's like, it's December. We're going to announce something in January. That will announce something. That will announce an announcement in February. That will announce an announcement in March. That will announce an announcement in April. That will announce what's coming up in December.
It's the announcement of a teaser trailer for a project which may or may not be the thing that you were looking for.
Well, to be honest, I'm looking forward to it.
Good for you.
Well,
As much as I don't like the way
You're the problem.
What? Leave me alone. If it was a game you looked forward to, you would be fucking sat there going, I can't wait for them to tell us this. Because I want to know, is it going to be the final one? Is it going to be telling us what happened when the hero of Ferelden went through that portal? Did they meet his son? Did he... whatever? And what happened to the champion of Kirkwall? Because literally, that does not get answered even in the game.
I just don't buy into hype culture, even for things that I like. It's just like, if there's an article saying, "Oh, a thing might be happening," I skim through and be like, "Okay, is there actual information in here?" Skim. No, all right, whatever. Just move on. I got other stuff I can do.
Yeah, I can see where you're getting excited. I mean, I'm looking forward to Dragon Age stuff as well, but until they actually give me something, I can't be excited. You know what I mean? It's gonna take a lot. I know, to each their own, but to me, someone going, right, we've got a big announcement to tell you, we've got a planned date for an announcement, doesn't.
I'm hoping the announcement will be like, we're planning on releasing Dragon Age around this time. The next Dragon Age game. Because it has been, how long's Inquisitor been out now?
You would know better than me.
It's 4 years old.
See, so we're due a new one. Because it's been like, what? Dragon Age Origins came out. It got a lot of DLC. 2 came out about 4 years later, I believe. And then Inquisitor came out. I think, no, Inquisitor and Dragon Age 2 had the shortest span between them.
Yeah.
But then Dragon Age Inquisitor, I've not seen any references to any of the other 2 games. Apart from the Chantry and the Order of which you're playing as. So I think it was just trying to get the bit that in Dragon Age 2.
I mean, it did carry on, didn't it, from the Mage Wars? It did.
Yeah, it carried on from that because they did mention it. They have mentioned it 1 or twice, but that's the only... They've not mentioned anything about Ferelden. Not that I've heard of anyway while I've played it.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess because they kind of just went to the north, didn't they? It was all ley and stuff, wasn't it? So... I guess that's the problem with trying to make a shared universe that's also unique to the player, is that you just end up leaving continents behind. But anyway, still...
Remember what we said about being concise?
Yeah, we'll see what will happen December 6th when they announce the announcement. Moving on, next story. Fallout 76. You depressing game.
Don't blame the game. Blame the players.
No, this is actually literally the story where we can hate the players, not the game. Of the story of the Fallout 76 players who have been given a lifetime ban by Bethesda for homophobic insults
and attacks,
chat, and using the PvP system to basically grief people because of perceived homophobia. So
is there a number of players that have been banned yet, or is it not given us a number yet?
It just says a group. It's whoever was involved in this group. There was a player by the name of Nathan the Hick, the unfortunate victim of his own demise. I say unfortunate, I mean victorious. I know that's a complete opposite, but you know. According to this article by Eurogamer by PC Gamer, went in, asked a player for an item. When they replied by saying he had a cute outfit, he went, I don't. If you don't like this, close your ears, people. I don't fuck with that homo shit.
Okay, by the looks of this, it's a group of 5 people. Because
Right.
I'm watching the video with mute.
But he said that statement, left and came back and started griefing players to try and force them to not play. And the players themselves, one including a person called AJ.
Yeah, AJ, please.
Yep. Basically had to go through the most ridiculous way of reporting said griefing in the game, because apparently, according to the article, there are no reporting features.
Yeah, there is no way to report anyone, and the way he's basically done it is uploaded his clip onto Twitter and tagged them into it.
Yeah. It's almost like Bethesda weren't planning on making a multiplayer game, but were told by ZeniMax, go make a multiplayer game. But yeah.
Or they just have high really hopes for humanity, because I don't.
Be cynical. It's a lot easier.
We believe everyone who plays our games are righteous and nice and polite. No.
But the only reason Bethesda managed to get the full information of this is because the idiot uploaded his own video.
Did he?
Yeah.
I don't know that.
He uploaded his own video called Cleansing of the Quiz.
Wow.
Honestly, humanity, half the time, you really need to have a fucking look in the mirror.
I feel like when you're that kind of when you have a name like Nathan the Hick and you upload a video called Cleansing the Queer, it's just like you're not even trying at that point. You're leaning full tilt into it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, he's just went and given the "it's just a prank, bro. I've got nothing to apologise for."
Strange enough, with that username and that, and you hear him speak, you just assume a redneck voice come out of it, like, "Hey, hi, man. I don't get on with it." Yeah, a bit like Clayton.
Goofy with it. I don't get it.
Goofy.
I think something more along the lines of like, I don't take kindly to that
I don't go kindly to that homo shit. I want to get my shotgun and make love to my sister.
Jesus. Yeah. So.
Because gays are bad, but fucking your first cousin is a-okay.
See, we're now gonna get.
It's legal in my state, therefore it's okay.
Well, we're now gonna be taken down by rednecks.
We're gonna get cleansed.
Yeah. Jesus, and cleansing of the Brits, and the one Canadian.
But look closer to him, so we're safer for now.
Okay, well I'll give you the advance warning.
Yeah, if you could, yeah, just like
the rednecks are coming. The rednecks are coming. By sea.
Oh,
we need a light to be placed on the church if it's by land. We need it by the lighthouse if it's by sea, please.
Just ridiculous. So yeah, he initially got a 3-day suspension. It's now permanent. The player is now getting over it, and there's the request to make PvE and role-playing servers so they don't have to deal with that shit.
I have to admit, and if I did actually get around to playing it, seeing I have had it since it came out, and I tried the first time, found out that I had got sent another code to activate the actual game, forgot about it. Well, didn't realise. Finally got it around to putting it in. Went to go back onto the game, down for maintenance, and I've not tried since. But yeah, I wouldn't have probably stayed on much longer if it was just PvP all the time.
Yeah, it's just not. Like I say, I had my reservations on it, knowing Bethesda's track record with the single-player games, and it's just not helped. So, yeah, a little bit longer.
I know a lot of people.
They've also had bad news in 2 weeks, considering the fact that they've had their game on sale multiple times. One of their collector's editions was an absolute waste of people's money. The fact that they then went and gave YouTube influencers canvas bags. Bring your canvas bags to the supermarket. Sorry, that's a Tim Minchin reference. There you go. They give people canvas bags that weren't exactly the same ones, but not the ones that people were getting. It's just Bethesda is a PR nightmare. If you took them to
the supermarket, did you get free cans?
Well, no, you just take your bag. You just take your canvas bags down to the supermarket. It's a Tim Minchin song. You'll see. But your last word on that, Steph.
On what?
I cut you off while going through and talking about my hatred for the PR scandal of Bethesda.
Oh, I asked you to just get free cans or bottle caps.
Ah, okay. No.
I think that was what I said.
Okay, maybe not. Fair enough. Right. Okay. Speaking of bottle caps and making money, we'll go to the next one very quickly. Valve has got a new Steam revenue idea for developers.
I've read into this a little bit, and I think that's a bit stupid.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that very quickly. So Steam's way of making money is to take a cut of any sales from us plebs when we buy them.
Which is obvious.
On the Steam
that's how they're going to make money.
Yeah,
but why is it the less you make, the more the share they get?
I don't know. Maybe it's just the cost of.
Isn't this the same way the tax works? The more money you make, the less tax you pay. That's how most businesses work, isn't it?
Well, no, it's supposed to work the other way round.
Yeah, it's not entirely
like
true.
Google
Corporations
and the rest
actually
of it
generally have a much lower tax rate than small businesses. And the reason
Right,
for that, the reason why corporations have less taxes, is because they need to, they have much higher revenue. They have much higher bottom dollars, so they still pay a considerable amount of tax. It's just, they just have a lower tax rate. Another reason why corporations have lower tax rates is to encourage growth amongst corporations, because corporations tend to make products and deliver services that improve standards of living, so they need to grow as much as possible.
Okay.
As the finance major, there's your little bit of business insider for the week.
Yeah, sweet. We'll have a new section that I'll keep running on this podcast soon. It'll be called Economics with Duncan.
Well, let me graduate at least first.
Nope, we're not letting you do that.
Yeah, we can just change the title just as you go through, But anyway,
and unfortunately, that's probably the main motivation behind this differentiation. Anyway, I think it's entirely possible that the gaming industry being the way it is, I mean, we've talked about it endlessly up until this point. It's staggering a little bit. Costs are so high these days for development and maintenance that I imagine that Steam was probably pressured in some way or another by companies to
particularly the biggest
to change these their revenue sharing rates so that they would continue to put their games on Steam, because they want to make sure that they get as much money as they can.
Yeah.
Because they're spreading themselves very thin and need all the money they can get.
Yeah. So, also from PC Gamer on this one, what we're sort of we're discussing all this about taxation laws and stuff like that. That comes based on the news of Valve changing how they are developing their splits of revenue. So the normal, the one that's currently going is that it goes on a 70-30 split between developer and Valve. Now, the way they're doing it is based on earnings. It'll be 70-30 until you hit over £10 million or $10 million or equivalent.
It's probably equivalent $10 million US dollars.
Yeah. And it will then go to a 75-25. And then if you earn over 50 million, it'll be 80-20.
I love the fact that this was put in place on the 1st of October, and the first thing you heard about it was December.
Yeah, so something's already been in progress for 2 months, and it's only been, like you say, it's been announced, days ago. And if that, but the way that this is coming up is it's the big games, they're not going to see much difference.
No.
So the big developers, nothing's going to change. In fact, it's going to be easy for them. The bit that it comes down to is the indie developers, your one-man dev teams and stuff like that. A lot of these like independent games, take your stuff like Hand of Fate, which was like a two-man group in Australia. Undertale, it was just a one dev. It's basically bedroom developers.
Wasn't
and stuff like
Prison Architect like a small man?
Small dev teams. Yeah, but they are never going to make 10 mil.
I think Hands of Fate will. Hands of Fate probably has, because they're on every console now. It's not just on PC. It's on PlayStation. It's on I believe it's on Xbox as well now.
Yeah. Okay.
I
can go through on that, but still. It's a very it's a very high bar.
I don't think they've done it on Valve, so they probably are only getting the 25. Valve's probably taking the 25% cut. I don't think they've probably done it on Valve, but overall they would have easily smashed that.
Yeah. And this is coming back to sort of people complaining about the sort of the algorithm that Steam had as well, which is, you know, the system determines whether your game's good enough to actually place on the front of the store page. Even if the game is an absolute pile of shite. We've seen it. You know, all these, like, basically trading card game, well, you know, these trading card farming simulators, basically. You know, these shit games that use Unity bought assets. Unity stolen assets, maybe.
I love the fact the video that PC Gamer has linked onto their thing for this is Artifact, and I've just opened Steam, and the first thing that popped up was Artifact.
Yeah, I mean it's in recommended videos for you. It doesn't even step towards, and it's just because the article's talking about Valve. So here's a Valve game, but yeah, I mean
it's like on one hand, it's like, you know, I feel like I'm kind of split on my opinions on this, because it's like on one hand, you know, people are upset that the big companies are getting a break. They're not. I don't feel like they're wrapping their heads around the fact that while the big companies are getting a break, the indie companies didn't get put down as a result. They're still getting the same deal that they were always getting. And I can understand bitterness towards, you know, like being upset that, you know, they didn't get any relief for this. But they also need to recognize that their exact situation has not actually changed in absolute figures. So I think in one way it's a bit of an overreaction. But on the other hand, I also see this as a bad sign in the sense that it might I don't know if it'll necessarily discourage like the, you know, small time gamers, but I think what it might encourage as an inverse relationship, as it might encourage smaller developers selling off their property to larger developers, or merging with larger developers to get into that higher threshold and to maximize their revenue, which might, you know, whatever the opposite of dilute is, the gaming market, as far as, you know, what kinds desaturating, really. The market where, you know, there will be less of a presence of indie gamers, because a lot of them will join up either with each other to make their own company, or to larger companies that already exist, where, you know, they have the marketing power and the reputation to get into that $10 million threshold easily. So I'm split on it. On one hand, I understand why this decision was made. As a finance major, I know why this decision was made. I can see through it. I get it. It sucks, but that's just the way capitalism works. But on the other hand, I also understand, as the son of somebody who owns a small business, I also understand the flip side of it. I understand it's frustrating seeing the bigger companies get all the breaks, and the smaller companies who just don't bring in as much money as the bigger companies do, just not mattering enough to get any sort of relief of their own. You know, my mom pays, God, I don't know, enormous business taxes, thousands of dollars every quarter she has to pay for no particular reason other than the fact that she owns a business. You know, it's like, it's not even like she has to pay certain benefits for employees based on so much. It's not like she has to pay out vacations so much. It's just like, she owns a business, therefore taxes. But, you know, if she had, you know, 50 people working for her and she was making 100 times her current revenue, she'd be paying a fraction of that tax. It's like, I get it. It's a hard issue to talk about, and it's never going to be fair.
No.
Not unless we completely redefine how capitalism works.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing. You know, we can't go the communism route, because that doesn't work either. So, yeah, I mean,
just let the mafia run the place.
It's been a couple of months. I'd probably like to see how the situation actually pans out in a few months' time. Once it's all settled in, see how it affects the business, how it affects Valve itself with Steam. Because the idea is that they're apparently trying to do this on a way that they would end up getting less money by trying to get more money, But, we'll see how it goes. Let's wrap this up by going to the very last story, and very quick odd story to finish off the podcast.
I have no idea anything about this story, but...
Have you never heard of the Leisure Suit Larry games?
Not to my knowledge.
Very weird, sort of point-and-clicky adventure games where you played as basically a pervy little man called Leisure Suit Larry, and he's in his, unlucky in love situation of trying to find love in ridiculous situations.
You say love, but I mean, he's really just trying to get laid.
Yeah.
Love in a physical sense, not in an emotional sense.
Yeah. But, the whole series of games came out while Sierra was still a company. And, the original creator of the games, Al Lowe, has decided now that he wants to get rid of the source code for the games. So he's auctioning them off on eBay.
Are they still on there?
I'm going to actually have a quick check. But, he's the article on Eurogame is this funny little story of him talking about the creation process for Leisure Suit Larry. Oh Jesus, and how people say no, you should just get rid of the game. He's got to a point down at the bottom. It's got like the little anecdote. It's like, Leisure Suit Larry's so out, or these games are so out of touch that they should require a leisure suit. But yeah, just the idea of just getting rid of the games, just getting rid of them as source code. I just want to actually see, because it doesn't look like it's actually on there anymore.
I don't know what it's been listed as.
Yeah, it's a bit hard to find. It might be. Is there a link on your Eurogamer itself?
Yes.
Hold on. Yes, there is.
And it's not giving me. It's not sent me anywhere.
It sent me to it. Source code to Leisure Suit Larry 1.
He's done it in different parts.
Jesus. Well, one of them, which is the original, is currently at. It's got 59 bids. It's still got 7 days to go. And the current bid is 8,801 of your US dollars.
That's honestly lower than I was expecting.
Oh, yeah, I guess.
Look at Larry 2.
Larry 2.
That's at 860 bids. That's 400 off that one.
Jesus. Yeah, here we go. It's just mad. Yeah.
I think that's kind of interesting, People always... I feel like there's a demand for these source codes for dead games. It's like, I mean, that's one way to get rid of it. Sell it off.
Yeah. Well, if you want a bit of history, a bit of seedy, dirty history, then yeah, have a look at them. They are going for the next week. So about 5 days by the time I bring the podcast out.
It's kind of like the digital equivalent of buying like a collection of like Playboy magazines in a way.
Ryan,
you
should keep an eye on this for next week.
Yeah.
So we know how much they're going to sell for.
Yeah, we definitely need to have a follow-up on this to see what they go for in the end.
Yeah. I will keep that in the notes for next week. In the
put them on your watch as well for eBay.
I could. Yeah. But well, because we need to go back to our love lives.
You dishonor me.
I don't have a love life, don't worry about it.
Same.
I've added them to my watch list. I don't even think I'm logged into eBay, so I don't know how it's doing that.
Yeah, how are you going to have a watch list there? But we will wrap that up after what is probably clearly our longest podcast.
Yeah, it's like an hour and a quarter. If we cut out the pre-ramble, that's the one.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's good. I didn't realise the time go by, so that's that. Again, always a good sign.
That's probably my fault. I elaborated quite a bit on that combat ready. I went for probably half an hour on that.
Oh, that was over half an hour.
Don't worry, you got me interested in it, so that works.
Yes, I sold a copy. And I get a little check from Rooster Teeth.
Yeah, if you could just get a commission based, it's all good. But if you enjoyed this podcast of three men talking about video games and board games, and Leisure Suit Larry. Please do the likey, sharey, subscribey thing with the bell, and we can keep going and trying to make more little content. We've also got other videos on the YouTube channel, maybe more soon. Trademark. We're also on iTunes and on podcast.com with an RSS feed there as well.
Wait, are you trademarking soon?
No, Blizzard has trademarked soon.
Have they?
It's just a meme. No, it's a meme. When
forget,
something's coming
kids,
out and you don't want to give people
drive.
the date, you just say soon trademark. But so go in all those methods. Don't drink and drive, but you could at least listen to our podcast and drive.
As long as it's not on your phone.
Yeah.
And you've got it in your hand.
Now remember, don't kill each other.
That's the one. Thank you very much, Duncan.
And if you do kill each other, just message Duncan. He will help you hide the body.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Well, thank you to Duncan and to Steph, and I guess to myself. I don't know
See you
why.
later, alligator.
Well, yeah. See you next week.
Bye.